We're here for the work session for November 1st, 2022.
Well, Brad
Brad?
is doing an excellent job at sending some leads, but he's ready to rock and roll. So, we wanted to talk.
Turn my mic on.
So we wanted to get together to talk about our ongoing street program for the next several months and to get ready for spring. We will be done with Cooper Street in the next few weeks, at least the first part of it. I call it phase one. Phase two is something that we were wanting to talk about in this setting, and also let you know what else we're going to be doing to determine how far we want to go, what we're wanting to do with that. Jerry Morgan, our street supervisor, is here also. We have bids. I guess Jason's not here. Wanted to talk to him also about our bids. We feel that with the amount of savings that we can come up with by doing Cooper, there's been a lot of talk among citizens, Facebook, and everything else about how long it's taken Cooper Street to be completed. Must understand, we got pulled off. We have not been on Cooper Street from start to finish. We got pulled off to go to Old Faithful the Old Faithful project, the Cape Seal projects. So we feel confident, or I feel confident, saying that if we could start the next phase, which is 20th to 23rd in late March, early April, we could get that completed and still have time to do our Cape Seal. With that, we would need additional equipment to help with that because we don't have the proper equipment that will take to do such a big project. That is why it's taken us long to do the Cooper part that we have. So, Jerry, come on up and I'll let you explain that part. Jerry is much more knowledgeable than I am on that.
Yes, with our current equipment,
Turn your mic.
yeah, I did.
I don't think it's.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, we had the equipment at one point. It's wore out. It's some of that equipment I brought to you guys here a while back that we can no longer get parts for. So, I mean, it's something we need to update anyways. But without that equipment, we'll extend our timeline on that south part of Cooper for, I would say, at least a couple weeks. It would add a couple weeks minimum to that job when we do start it. And there's just a lot of material to move that road. And the only thing I have to do with it right now is skid loader.
So what piece of equipment were you wanting to get?
The one I want to get is a 963, a Cat 963 crawler loader, which would update we currently have an 1155 case that is wore out. We're limping it along right now trying to keep piles pushed down with it, but the undercarriage is messed up and we can't get parts for it.
This piece of equipment be used for many other things also.
Yes, it'd be used all over the place.
Print this out on what it's going to cost us.
No, I did when I brought you guys that equipment list, I got on some sites on the internet and found a bunch of the same pieces of equipment and just kind of took all the costs and averaged them. And that's what I put down on that equipment list. I think I had it on that equipment list for somewhere in that $130,000 range. I don't have that list on me currently.
Jerry, do you know how much, I know it's 20 to 23rd Street, and I know you've told me, how much footage is there in that length?
With the little bit, because we got to come back on 20th Street just a little bit to catch that culvert. There was around 1,700 feet, right around 1,700 feet.
And for each pour we do,
It's
how big each pour?
each pour is half the road wide, which would be 12 feet, and 192 feet long, which is our maximum we can go without expansion joint.
So you said 170 feet long,
192 feet long.
192, because we forgot that other pour. And you said we can go, how many per pour?
We can go 12 foot wide, 192 feet long. That's our maximum we can go until we have to put a future expansion in.
How many pours did you have from East National to 20th? Was it roughly about the same?
Yeah, we'll have a few smaller pours on the south side, on the south section, because we have approaches and stuff to do in there, and the intersection. So the way that intersections, the way everything's all the water's draining on that intersection, it's going to be tough. We're going to have to do it in kind of a little bit smaller pole pours to get our elevations right. So.
Hi, Jason. So, glad you're here, Jason. We're talking about Cooper, 20 to 23rd. I know you sent me, it looks like the quote for the Cooper project. Of course, this is, yeah, August 21st, or August of 2021. Is this just from 20 to 23rd? Or is this is just, so to let you know, the bids that we got for just 20 to 23rd, one of them was at 749, about 746,000, and then $766,000. So we projected what we could do it for was less than 4.
You
Yeah.
said some material costs.
Yeah, it was material.
30, 140,
Yes.
but you needed labor.
Yeah, that was it's somewhere in that 140 range, I think, without labor, no labor included. That was just materials.
When we bid it out, we were doing curbs and all that before.
Yeah, and the curb cost, what I say, $50,000 to $60,000 difference, depending on they had a big swing in that cost, but I think it was 40 to 80 almost.
Mm-hmm.
But in the grand scheme, that was 10%.
Would it be fair to say we could start dirt work in March?
Yes, as long as the ground ain't frozen, we can do dirt work.
Okay.
Do you have the manpower that, not to say that you guys are unskilled.
No, you're
but
fine.
That's one of my greatest concerns is having the skilled workers be able to do this project, to the best of his ability. That's my only concern on, with those streets, that, we have appropriate manpower for this stuff.
We
I-
do,
Well, I can answer. We have one operator that has 30 years of experience. We have Jerry, who's got how many years of operating experience?
15. Well, 15.
We have another operator that we hired that has over 10. And then other than that, you just have your dump truck operators and your guys that do the labor part. So with that,
I just turned it
with
on.
that, I would say we do have the labor. That's just
We have the skill.
skilled
What you're
labor, yes. And we've got the manpower now that
That
we
you won't
haven't
be able
had
to
in
be
the past.
short-staffed with one area if another job is to come up and needs more pressing.
the
that-
good
that
thing
we
about
can-
this is not everybody can work on the same thing.
Okay.
And that's what Jerry's done a really good job of, is when you're pouring, it's all hands on deck.
So how,
But when you're not pouring, you can take 2 or 3 guys over to do pothole patching, crack filling, whatever the case may be, or whatever, like now we're just doing little odds and ends jobs that we've been reported to. So Jerry has done a really good job of scheduling the staff accordingly to what the job is. Of course, when come March or whenever we decide, whenever the ground's not frozen, we can get on to Cooper to do this, you'll have your skilled labor on equipment moving dirt.
so how many people will it take to work on Cooper if we decide to do it in-house at a time?
When we pour, we'll have all hands on deck, which our pours usually take anywhere from, depends on elevations and stuff like that, on the kind of pour we're doing. I would say 2.5 hours it takes us to lay down a pour. And then once we get that laid down, it only takes a few of us to finish it.
How often do you plan on pouring?
We like to pour at minimum twice a week.
And at twice a week?
What temp? Can it be a minimum, maximum on temperature wise?
It's got to be above 40 degrees.
It's got to be 30 degrees and rising
Okay.
to pour concrete.
At
So-
night even?
Well, as long as you pour it, as long as you get up in the morning, as long as it's 30 degrees and rising, we can pour. If it's gonna get below, a little bit below freezing, then we have concrete blankets that we will put over the top of it.
So if it's still above 30 degrees into December, we can still pour.
Yeah, as long as it's weather permitting, we
Okay.
can pour whenever we want. I mean,
So if everything goes perfect, you're talking 3 months to do, because you're talking 20 pours to 22 pours.
Mhm.
You do 2 pours a week, so.
yeah. I mean, there'll be weeks we get 3 pours in. There's gonna be weeks, say we got a bunch of rain one week and we won't get no pours in. So I mean, all depends on the weather.
So if we looked at starting this in March, as Brad was saying, what's the feasibility with, as far as the street has been completed now, to make Cooper Street in a state where it can be opened until we start this next section next year? Is that an option?
Yes.
Yeah.
As soon as we get done with our last pour.
And that's the overspray you were talking about to keep the dust down?
Yeah, as soon as we get to 20th Street right there, where we're gonna stop, where we plan on stopping for the year, yes, we will lay rock back out. It'll be drivable. All of it will be open again until we decide to start it again.
But then we plan on having it closed, when we close it back down, probably 4 to 6 months, close back down from 20th to 23rd.
I would say 4 months at the most. I think we could have that done in 4 months. And I would say that would be more of a worst case scenario date. I would be comfortable at 3, but given the weather that time of year and stuff, 4 would be a good number, I think.
And how many workers did you say whenever you weren't pouring? After the 2.5 hours to pour, how many workers do you think it takes?
Usually we have 3 to 4, depending on what else we have going on.
And that leaves how many to do other stuff?
Usually, like take today for instance, I had 2 guys hauling rock. I had 2 guys on the pothole patcher, and then the rest of the guys was on Cooper Street. So I had 3 guys and 3 guys on Cooper, and then 2 doing one thing, 2 doing another thing.
So and we gotta do prep work to Horton Street too for next year, don't we?
We don't know.
No, that's all gonna be contracted.
The tear out and everything, we're gonna contract that out. And then when would you start next year Cape Seal, prepping the streets for Cape Seal?
I don't know. I don't even have a list for next year's roads.
I'd say once we get the list, during this time, once the temperature's rising and we're able to, we could do that on the off time that they're not pouring, when we have people available to move to other areas.
And I forgot how many people you used for your prep in the Cape Seal. Was it 3 to 4? I think I saw.
Yeah, usually 5 is a good number for prepping for Cape Seal. Cause you need 3 people on the crack sealer. And 2 on the patcher. Minimum of 2 on the patcher. Actually works better with 3, but you can get by with 2.
I mean, theoretically, you can do dirt work all through the winter over there, couldn't you?
As long as it's not frozen.
Yeah.
Mhm. But you know, with the weather and stuff like that, it's if we shut that part down to do the dirt work, you know, it may be hard telling. You know, it may be froze for a week. You know, it may just be sitting there idle for a week for no reason, or you know.
Yeah. Of course, in the spring, I mean, if we ever get rain next year, I mean,
Yeah.
it could be sitting same thing with the
Yeah,
rain.
very true.
I might make some observations because I was here 2 years ago. One is you've beefed up on your street department. That's first thing. The second thing I've noticed is that the management of the street department, by beefing up, I mean you've got more people than what we had 2 years ago. And secondly, we've got better management. I've sat in on some of the meetings and the concern from our people on Cooper Street was that there was stop and go differences of opinion that this should be done and that should be done. My observation is that these guys want to go and prove themselves and do the job. And that's just my observation of a little bit of history.
Yeah, and we're completely in the clear now. We don't need Evergy to do anything else or move anything else, or are we still waiting on them for that last section to take care of some stuff?
They're still over there doing some polls right now.
That was another big hiccup, Jeff, was that was delayed way too long by Evergy to get
Correct.
the tolls
Yeah.
moved.
So if we kept going right now, you are going to run into some bad weather. You could possibly have December where it might not be too bad, but once January and February hits, it's going to be cold. So that's why I would, once we get 20th Street done, I would open it up, spray it, open it up until
We can get
March.
snow into April.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
snowed on.
and you could. Next day it could be thawed out. So, it's Kansas. I mean, we're blessed to get rain when we can, and whatever. But I would open it up so it can at least be
Drivable.
driven. Yeah, driven on, and then start it back up in April or March. If we're lucky, March, we look at the forecast and we go from there. But at least if we're doing it in the house, we know when it's going to get done.
Can you put me together something like showing in March when we start this, how many guys are on it, what the other guys are doing on the days pouring and not pouring? Like if we're doing the Cape Seal as well, I mean, just to show how you plan on staffing it, all the work.
Yes, I can. I can show you that. We will be, if we're running both projects at the exact same time, that's all we'll be doing. You know, unless an emergency pops up or something somewhere, that's all. We will only be able to do that until it's done. But yeah, I can put you something together.
I think the plan we did before in Cape Seal was maybe doing 100 blocks this year. And so I know we had a late start this year.
Yeah.
Before prep. I mean, just because everything.
Yeah, that Cape Seal will also depend on how bad the roads are that we're Cape Sealing. If they're super bad, then it's gonna take a while for us to prep them for them, so.
Yeah. Did we come up with, are any of the Cape Sealed roads gonna be striped?
We're gonna cover that here
That's in-
later.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll cover that later.
Okay. Great minds think alike.
I think that's in that email you sent.
Yeah, it was, but I wanted to know who was doing it, or are we doing
Yeah.
that in-house? But we're gonna cover it later. so.
Yes.
Real question, concerns over, of course, you guys need to have the equipment that you need to have to do the job. I know I've sat in on a few meetings, even before I got elected, on some of the stuff that needed to be replaced. What have we done with those items that, I think we had a skid loader and now if this crawler's going bad, we can't, are we looking at any type of avenues to see if there's means of trying to get rid of this stuff and bring some money back to the city on it, or we just have a yard full of equipment that doesn't work?
We have quite a bit of equipment sitting around. Like, we got a skid loader out to the barn that's, got a bad motor in it. We've actually took the tires and wheels off of it to use for our other skid loader, just kind of turned it into a parts vehicle. That crawler loader, we're still slowly using it.
Yeah.
Trying to take it easy with it. But once it goes down, it will not be repaired. So, you'll be doing good to get it on a trailer if it goes down on us while we're still using it.
Just wondering with.
I know about 10 years ago, you had an auctioneer, it was
Yeah.
all out at the fairgrounds. They took everything out there and some old cars and.
What we would like to do is,
I don't know if you've done it.
for equipment and police vehicles, any type of equipment at the golf course, we all talked about having either a big auction or whatever can't be auctioned, take to the crusher. Just either, get some revenue off of it, but also get rid of it
Yeah.
to clean our areas up, because some of the areas out by Jerry's we could use that for salt storage, so we can monitor the salt storage and things like that. So yes, we've talked about it in the meetings. We just haven't acted on it. We need to get that going before it gets really bad weather.
Do we still not have a capital improvement on equipment? I know I've been asked that for a couple of years about what items we have, what age they are, and how their expectancy. So we know going forward, hey, in 10 years, we're going to have to look at buying this, or 5 years, we're going to look at buying this. Do we have anything?
That was shared. I want to share another avenue, possibility that I'm aware of that some communities are doing. Enterprise in particular is involved in, because it's one of the largest corporations of fleet there is. And over at the lake, we participated in a program whereupon they come in and buy your equipment. We talked about some of this equipment. It costs more to maintain it. You reach a point you need to get rid of it, and I just throw that. Enterprise has a situation where they buy your old equipment, some of your old equipment, and then finance and bring your fleet up over time. As opposed, and there's two different options. What happens is you've got funds that you're supposed to put in depreciation. You put that fund in, and then you get into a budget crunch, and you end up with no funds in that deal, and the equipment keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And so the small community I was at, it was unbelievable what that program did on police cars, on dump trucks, on everything, and because you're budgeting one way or the other. Either you're budgeting it to put in a fund, or you're making a lease payment for those items.
So they pay you for your broken stuff,
Yeah, or
and they get you to a lease program for what you need. That mean they also haul away.
they'll take it back and bring you back a new one, and it's just one option, but it's I know that up in the Kansas City Metro, some of those people, Olathe and I think Wyandotte County, it's just another option to upgrade your fleet. Now,
Which,
I'm not.
I know in the car, Enterprise buys a lot, and I like the thing, but it also just adds another middleman that takes away some of the the profit, because what Enterprise does is then go around and sells it to dealers, and then so you have a profit upon profit. And so I think with
Did y'all start the meeting at 4 o'clock?
yeah.
Okay. Thought we rescheduled it for 4:30.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought as well.
I thought it was 4:32.
Even when we had the preset for this meeting, it was supposed to be at 4:30 because I made it quite clear I would not be able to be here till 4:30. So. Okay.
We have.
Right, cool. Can you reprise me of what y'all have done during the meeting thus far that I was not made aware of was gonna be at 4 o'clock instead of 4:30? I know.
Yep.
I think I might have some Halloween.
Yeah, so Brad talked about Cooper Street, about doing it in-house, just showing what it looks like doing it in-house compared to bidding it out, how long, how many pours it would take, equipment might need,
What bids we've gotten.
what bids we've gotten, so just kind of compare and let us decide, future, just kind of give us some options.
You want to summarize, Brad?
I think Josh just
That's
did,
also-
actually.
That's basically about what we talked about.
Pouring and then starting up again in March.
We're
In
just
the
talking about,
interim,
yeah.
once they quit for the winter time, putting that spray coating on the road so the Cooper Street can be opened up until they restart the project again in March
Talked about Cape
to keep the
Seal.
dust down. Talking
So,
about-
so basically,
Go ahead.
we've got two bids for Cooper from 20 to 23rd. 745,000, 766,000. We feel we can do it roughly around 400,000. We would need a piece of equipment to make this go smoother. The piece of equipment roughly around 100,000. We can get you better numbers than that, of course. We get down to that. We could start this around, depending on weather, of course, April. Take 3 to 4 months to complete. That way we could also, while we're doing this, part of our staff would be on Cooper, of course, doing pours. When we're doing pours, everybody's doing it. Everybody's working on it. But when you're not pouring, you have other staff going to start doing your Cape Seal projects, getting the prep work going. Also doing crack sealing and just whatever odds and ends we've got going on. That way, the money that we save on this project can go to further our Cape Seal projects. That we're talking 300, 400,000. Now this was back in 2021, so who knows what the bids are now. So you're saving $300,000, $400,000 if we do it. I feel very comfortable saying that we can get it done in 3.5 months. The problem with what has happened in the past, and I'm not criticizing anyone, I don't want people to think this. I don't know whose fault it was. Maybe nobody. But when you get pulled off of a job, you can't get jobs done. And that is something I totally believe in, is keeping on a job until it's completed. Now, you're going to have emergencies. I know that happens. But if you can stay on a job and get in a groove and get your staff to keep going and basically battle themselves and to motivate themselves to, hey, we got 3 pours this week. Maybe we can work Friday or work an extra day to get another pour and just keep going. And so that is my motivation to keep this in-house. I really feel that we're okay with getting our Cape Seal projects done next year also by doing this. We don't have that project list. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that or, okay, I don't know, but who developed that?
Basically Pete and Kelly and I.
Okay.
Which I told them, I think they're.
Are these all,
$100.
they're all, I mean, they're
Yeah,
just
they're all
one
exactly
page.
the same thing. It includes the crack filling that we were supposed to get done this year that we're still working on, hopefully, to get finished, and then some of the stuff that we were supposed to do on the Cape Seal this year that we didn't have time to do, and adding that to see if we can.
Sorry, but how many blocks did we do this year?
About 50.
Okay. So we did that in how many months?
About a month.
How many months did we do that?
Month and a half.
Month and a half, somewhere in there.
See what happens when you stay on a job? That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That is what has to be done with our street department to enable us to get things done. We've got to stay on jobs. And that brings up another reason why we shouldn't start Cooper until April, because we've got alleyways, we've got bricks, and we've got our winter projects to do. So, I'm a big list guy. So we make lists, we follow those lists. This is great because it's a list. So as long as we can stay on a list, we're going to be all right. I have all the faith in the world in Jerry, Tom, and their crew, as well as all the other crews we have. I mean, we built a very good team.
No, I agree. I know that some of these roads that we're looking at getting, the roads that we did this year were the best roads.
Mm-hmm.
Best roads is in best shape.
These were the easiest to fix.
Yeah, for the time frame we had, that was the best choice to go with. I agree.
These were the absolute easiest ones for the guys to fix their way. So everything from here on out is going to be a lot more difficult, a lot more time consuming, a lot more product. That's why we're hoping to have that emulsion tank.
Mm-hmm. We got to get that going too.
So we've got that on site to be able to save all that extra time. I mean, you can tell the guys this, and I'll come down and tell them. They killed it. I mean, I told you guys in the beginning, I didn't think y'all would be able to get all that done, and I was pleasantly surprised that y'all did, and every street got better and better in the quality of the work that the guys were doing. And so, I mean.
Yeah, we do. We've got a great bunch of hardworking guys now. We're fortunate.
So with I mean, just gives you an idea. I mean, we haven't approved this list yet or not, but I just asked him earlier to give me or us if they're doing Cooper as well with this, what guys be on what at what day, just to kind of plan it out. So, I mean, I trust you saying we could do it, but that way,
Yes, I could come up with a better time frame and stuff. If you guys approve this and agree that this is the ones you want, I could go run these roads.
Yeah, I'd say by
Try to come up
the
with a
next few
time frame.
meetings, we probably should hash out if this is the ones we're going to do or what,
When we originally talked about it, we talked about doing the arterials first. There's one arterial left on here that we didn't get done this year, and then we were going to do the collector roads next, and then the feeder roads, and then do residential roads.
Oh,
The other one I don't see on here that probably needs done here year two is First Street, all the way from Broadway to Steam. I know it's.
Yeah, and if that's one we want to add, if we want to try to get it done. So one thing we will need to do here within the next several weeks is start getting out for bid on this. So
on Cape Seal, yes.
Yeah.
Because we waited till January to bid a lot of it last year, which is why we were September getting the work done. We can get these bid now, then we're gonna get a better chance
Sure.
of getting on somebody's list a little bit sooner.
Sure.
Which might affect what we have to get done as well.
Yeah, the sooner we know that these are going to be it, the better, because we could actually work on these throughout the winter a little bit. As long as we get 24 hours above freezing, we can be using that emulsion tank. We can be using the pothole patcher to help fix these roads. So,
Especially if we get our emulsion tank up and hooked up and get it filled
Mhm.
with the warming blanket and everything that we had put on this, and it's got the internal churner and everything,
Mhm.
then the product.
yes, we've got the pad poured for it. It's poured, but it's got to set. It's got to cure out before we can actually set the tank on it. We're waiting on a call back from Tom Hampton on when we can schedule him to be here and the crane to set it. So hopefully it's up sooner rather than later. So.
What's your guys' plans over until spring? What do you guys got on the?
We've got a whole bucket list of things to do.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of bricks, of course. We've got a lot of, since I put on that about the email. And we've got several smaller projects of brick layings. Um,
So do you have like timeframes, like what, do you have a goal for November, a goal for December, a goal for January? Or, I mean, a to-do list, or what's,
We
we really need, and I'm
We-
sorry, go ahead.
we do have a to-do list. I mean, it's just how we prioritize it. Like, as soon as we get Cooper done, I've got to
Mhm.
nail some trees. I've got to get some trees cut because we're gonna have some damage on our plow trucks trying to plow roads this winter. So
I would, I know you guys had a big whiteboard in there, and something the guy used to do is, I can't remember his name, but I mean, if I were you, I'd put all those up on there and have a priority next to them. That way, if it's a rainy day, the guys know what, you know, and that way,
we do. We have a big whiteboard out there at the shop that's categorized and stuff for stuff to do. Yeah. But we don't try to stick to one thing all the time. We try to do equal amounts of everything.
Well, see, something that Brad was talking about earlier, and this would just be one thing that I would suggest if we can do it. I don't know who would be able to, but as we have all these projects coming in on email, as we've got the different projects that we're going to do, instead of what I saw last year that I thought cost us time throughout the summer, was we would go patch something one place and then drive clear over to the other side of town, patch something, and then back to the next corner of town.
Mhm.
Instead of picking a whole bunch of projects in one area and going out, and while you're in that area, fix all the projects in that area and then move on to the next area. So we have less setup time, less mobilization, less travel, less carrying supplies, everything, kind of hit it all at one time. I don't know who would be, it would have to be something that would have to be put into a computer system so that we could draw a consensus of all
We
that
could
data.
actually make it as in areas, and you could do it in Excel, area 1, area 2, area 3, and break our town into areas or whatever you want to call it. I think Pete's here. I think was it quadrants or wards? We broke them into wards, and you could do that to where, okay, these roads are in Ward 1, so this is what we're going to tackle this week. This is going to be and so we've got a list from the street advisory for bricks. They pretty much prioritized them for us. It's not set in stone. Plus, we've got the ones that we need to repair that we've had complaints on. Plus, there's some that we just, if you drive down the street, you see them that I haven't heard about. We meet every 2 weeks. Not saying we can't meet weekly, just to where we can get in tune with each other and have meetings to where we can really hash this out to where we can come up with a good schedule. Because I agree. Now there may be some cones sitting around, but just one day you might go open holes. Next day you might throw your cement. You might throw your XYZ, whatever. No, they don't call it XYZ. That's my age. AB3.
Yeah.
And then the next day we're bricking. Whatever the case may be. You've got to come up with a good system so you can be successful. And with the tools we have in place right now, I feel like we can be pretty successful with what we've got. And I think we're getting past the learning stage. I think we're getting to the accomplishment. So we're getting better. We just need to hold each other accountable.
Along with these repairs, I'll ask one other question real quick, and that's all the damage that J. Radell's been doing to the streets. Are we have a plan on addressing all of that?
That is with somebody, because do we know who's reported this? And
anybody that's doing repairs.
well,
I mean, how do we track? How have we been tracking? Let's just use Garberdale. How have we been tracking where they do work on the streets at?
that would have to be our codes.
Yeah, right now there's nothing. They don't come in. They don't have to pull a street cut permit. They don't pull any permits. They just roll into town whenever, tear something up, and then they roll out, and they don't fix it. I mean, and I'm sure you guys are aware, we have many places all across town where they've destroyed brick streets, asphalt streets, concrete streets, and they are not repairing any of this. And so while they're still here in town, we got a small window left where we can hold these guys accountable and make them fix everything. I don't want to have another Ace Pipe situation on our hands where they're up and out of this town and every bit of work that they're doing in every alley has failed. and Ace Pipe will not come back and fix it.
I totally agree. I don't want our guys to have to fix it.
Yes, sir.
What have we done in the past with all of our other construction companies that come in here? Because I'll get a phone call and I'll go to other sites. And just the other day, I had an alleyway that they wanted us to repair. And first two things I said was, we're not replacing that because that's not our cap. That is something we need to have.
Yes, sir.
Because it's not manpower, but it's time.
Mhm.
We don't have time to do it, and we sure the heck don't have the money.
No, not at all.
So I totally agree. We need to do a better job at doing that. And I think it comes down to they need to come in and show us where they're going to be at next week, wherever.
Right.
I
What
think they were right here today, and I don't think any of us knew about it.
I sent something to you and to Jeff on my suggestions on a portion of that. The second thing along those lines is, I looked at a couple different cities that do this, and what they do is they require a cut permit anytime any underground work is going to be done anywhere in town. That company has to come to City Hall, pull a permit before they even roll their machines in and start digging a hole. They apply for the permit, get the permit, then we can send somebody out to check it when they're getting done. And then we sign off on it. If it's good, if it's not, they're not. But if we don't have that bond or something to hold them accountable, and that was my deal with the other year when they ran into the sewer line, blew up the sewer line, and then they just split. And that was, what, a $75,000 repair that we had to do as the city because an out-of-town contractor came in and blew up the sewer line. And we're just not holding these guys responsible for tearing stuff up. So in Bentonville, Arkansas, what they did when they had this situation when the guys were coming in to do all the repairs for Walmart was they started requiring these cut permits and these bonds, and that put a stop to it immediately.
And I'm familiar with that. I'm amazed that we don't have that, quite honestly, because and there's different ways you can do it. You can have permit where you have to come in and that so you know what's happening, but when you get into the requirement, it's not only a bond, letter of credit, cash deposit, that sort of thing.
Yes, sir.
And you did you did a survey of all the cities that have that. And we're one of the few cities that don't.
We're the only one in this area. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think we need to get better at, and I'm not picking on anybody saying this, we need to get better at looking at their work before they close up.
Yeah.
And to look at it why they close up. Because how do we know they're compacting right?
And it takes resources. You know, you have to find who's going to do it, and
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, it takes resources to fix it when it's not done right too. So,
yes,
yeah.
no, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we're gonna spend far more. I agree with Josh. We're gonna spend far more repairing these roads.
You
at this
already
point.
have.
Yes.
I mean,
And I okay, because I saw a couple cuts they did over on the east side just within the last 2 weeks. One of them right through an asphalt road, and I'm sorry to say it's the worst thing.
some of the companies, I don't know I don't know the companies over here, but the right of way, you know, where you go in and you're in and out, you don't even know they're here,
Yes,
and
sir.
the damage they can do is amazing.
Hey, Jerry, did you ever look on Brown Street where I don't know who cut that, but it rained and then it sunk about 4 to 6 inches, about this wide, and it sunk 4 to 6 inches right after it rained. So now there's a 4-inch wide thing going through our road, and the ends of it have already sunk in.
And broken off. Yeah,
And
when
broken
when I
off.
looked at it, the ends of
Yeah,
Brown
yeah.
Street. Maybe it's a cut somebody did to the asphalt. I mean, we cut it 4 inches wide from end to end. They dumped rubble all over the place. They didn't recompact. I don't even know who did that one.
Well, it's
Got-
just fine when the ground's hard, but as soon as it rains.
Got a few friends that are in the neighborhood. We can check that, and then the city manager listserv throws that out in the league, and we can. But it'll take a little bit of time to put that together. But it's if you're worried about streets, you gotta have a program for your contractor.
I just want to have something on that as quickly as possible, just because I don't know how much longer these guys are going to be in town. And
Which
every
guy,
time,
which guys are those?
the ones that I'm referring to right now is, I believe the name of the company is J. Radell Incorporated. They work for Crawcan, running these fiber lines, and they're doing
Oh,
it.
fiber lines.
And I'm very thankful that they're running the fiber
I'm-
lines. I
I'm
love that they're doing
I'm
that for our
familiar
citizens.
with them.
But
Yeah.
it is the damage. I can take you around and show you brick streets all over town
Yeah.
where they yank bricks up, and all they've done is dump gravel back.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago on some of those, they promised to put the bricks back, and it still just
Yeah,
got
no,
gravel.
you got it. Fiber folks are the worst. I think yeah, so,
Right, so back onto the streets with the only problem, and I love doing it in-house, Brad. I just want to make sure that we can get all of this accomplished, get the alleyways done that we promised the people we'd get done, get our crack filling done and all of that. If we can get all that done, I think it's awesome that we can pour that in-house and save the money. And I would,
Do alleyways when it's snowing,
Probably clear and a lot that day.
because originally we were going to purchase y'all a piece of equipment to tow behind the tractors so that y'all could work on the alleys. What equipment do you have right now to do this alleyway? Because what we were talking about doing was scraping off several inches and then going back in and laying in about 4 to 5 inches of AB3 and rolling it. And that was how we were going to fix the alleys. What are you looking at?
In order to get that hard surface down on that brick, so we gotta use their person.
Again, then is that big grader? Can it get down the alleys? Okay. All right. Okay.
Do we have an alley plan, or we just kind of winging it, or how we doing the alleys?
We will, actually, I've got these little maps. We've actually broke the town down quarters. It's in 4 sections, so if we decide that we're gonna go out and do alleys, for a month, we're gonna do this quarter of town, 1 week, next quarter of town, next week, then by the time we get to the month, we've done the whole town. Now, some alleys are worse than others, some of them will be bladed, the other ones, be raw.
Mm-hmm.
So is that our big, for the next 4 months, are alleys and brick streets? Is that our is that our major thing?
Once we get done on Cooper, it will be alleys, brick streets, and streets. There's a lot of streets I got to get for person process.
And do you think that accomplishing a whole quarter of the city's alleys this year is a reasonable goal? Originally, we had talked about maybe splitting it into wards and doing all the alleys into wards, or doing the alleys in conjunction with the road repairs and repair all the alleys off of the roadways. What do you, as you're looking at things and you're looking at what the guys can get accomplished, what do you think is beneficial?
As we're talking to Cape Seal roads, like when we go through and do the Cape Seal roads, I don't have enough guys to be able to do prep for Cape Seal and do the alleys at the same time. So that would have to come either after or prepare those.
Okay.
If we're doing Cooper Street.
Right.
Which I think is good. I mean, you guys don't even really be focused on alleys during the summer anyways, I don't
No.
think, personally. But
No, I meant as far as the alleys we were planning on doing this winter, either doing one ward of alleys or doing the alleys in association with the Cape Seal that we've done so far this year. And then next year, do the alleys off of the Cape Seal that we do next year. That was just one of the suggestions that I had heard but I wanted to know if y'all thought y'all could do a whole quarter of alleys this winter. I'm perfectly happy with that.
Yeah, we could do a whole quarter.
Um,
As far as just doing one quarter, I would actually like to split it up a little bit. Because we do get complaints on, you got that with the east side now.
Mhm.
The west side now. So I'd like to, if we're gonna do it for a quarter, we can't do the whole town, then I'd like to divide it up between quarters. So we do 4 miles worth of alleys on this quarter, 4 miles with my quarter.
Okay. Would you or can somebody put together an alley plan that lists out the ones we'd like to try to get done this winter, or if y'all want me to put something together, I'll be happy to do that. But if you guys want to put it together, knowing what you're looking at, and just bring that to us.
We will, we meet, we'll just try to meet on every other Thursday, or every Thursday, instead of every other Thursday. And that way we can come up with a good plan for that, and then we can have some, of course, weather's gonna play something, but maybe a timeline is what. we can come up with.
Will you buy your AB3 from the county when we do the alleys?
No, we will do it from, or yeah, we'll get it from the
County.
for alleyways.
Because I had, when the previous city manager was here, we had talked about y'all using, and I know that it's been broke down now, but using the laydown machine. If you moisten that AB3, you can run it through the laydown machine up to 6 inches thick and then roll it. But apparently somebody broke our laydown machine. Is that correct? Has the laydown machine. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, I mean, I was told, I don't know much about that machine.
Mhm.
I was told we could run off of it, but I can get that information. I can look at the book, whatever it says.
Yeah. I mean, it was simply of what was going to be the best for y'all, what was going to be the most efficient to get people good alleys again. I mean,
I think it'll go through his machine.
Good.
I personally think we'll be dumping in there, get it go through the machine, but I don't know if it's the
Good.
I don't want to be carrying the machine.
no, yes, sir. Yep.
So, what was the summary of savings that we're looking at? The net savings by us doing it roughly? Yeah,
Roughly three, depending on what the quotes come back this year, roughly 350,000.
Yeah, right at 300,000 because 50,000 that would have been curbs
Well,
and we're not doing curbs, so it'd be right at 300,000.
I'm not sure what this.
roughly. I'm just, and they want to do it.
Yeah. Could we go ahead and go out for bid on the rest of Cooper just to see what it's going to cost now? And then we'll have
We have a little problem with that, didn't we? No, that was Horton that we bid out once. You get it was Cooper, we bid it out, and sometimes when you go out too many times,
And not accept.
it
I
creates.
mean, I think we have a pretty good idea from the last bids.
yeah, but we didn't have bid concrete.
Yeah, we did.
We did?
Yeah,
Okay.
they had alternate, and it was actually cheaper than
I mean, you
asphalt.
inflate that figure, but
Mhm.
you keep hitting these contractors and then you
So
back
it's only
off,
been- Yeah,
then they don't come back.
Okay.
yeah, they bid it once, so, I mean, we need to
that-
show them.
And that's why I'm a big
Difference.
proponent of you. That's why planning is what you're doing is so important, so that when the best time to bid stuff is right now when they're hungry and they're setting their jobs, and you got to have a good reputation in the community. Get the lowest bids. That's
Amino Brothers bid 766 for asphalt or concrete, and then the other one was 745 for asphalt, 830 for concrete.
Is that 20th to 23rd? Or is that
This is
just the stretch that we've done right now?
Just the south.
yeah, South Cooper.
what else, Brad?
I think that's it. We'll come up with a plan for, alleys. Before the next meeting, we'll come up with a plan for the bricks. Kind of like a roadmap. Of course, some of that will change because just add in stuff. And then we'll try to come up with labor analysis spreadsheet that shows what everybody's been doing.
And then if you get a chance, the equipment list and years in service and expected life expectancy.
That is something we need to look at. I don't know, you said it's not a very big turnaround time for that piece of equipment that you need.
No, it would be a used piece of equipment with looking for. I wasn't new on that. Yeah, I don't know how we bid that out, or just find the cheapest, best quality piece of equipment we can find and purchase.
So the best thing about like the equipment list is, if there's something else like next year, if we think, well, this is a big purchase, and next year we're like, well, now this one's wore out. So we kind of need to plan, 5, 10 years down the road instead of spending, like that one year is the lawnmower for whatever. We ended up finding we had a brand new spare lawnmower and it wasn't for streets, but we don't have no list, so we really don't know what we got.
There was a list and we need to resurrect it.
And the insurance company, I would think, would want a
Expect that.
list. Yeah.
Brad,
Can-
next time you get a chance, like a Friday or Monday, I'd like to go down with you and see what's in the graveyard, what's sitting there to get an idea, just to get a general idea, so we can work on. No. That means I'm more than likely not on the road myself somewhere, unless you could just drone footage it for me.
Can we do a cost comparison, Jeff, on rentals? Because I do know that there are several other cities that have found that that's more
Well,
beneficial.
I think first of all, you need to get the list and see where it's at, and then if you want to, it doesn't hurt to have them look at it and see what as an option. You can look at it. I'm not, and quite honestly, I've had, I pay attention. Some people over at the lake, we've had great success with it. But I've heard other people, and it may be because they didn't have as good a success. So it's just another option, but it's important. It might be good when we were doing it before to see that old list, see where we failed, because that's called planning.
Yes, sir.
Putting money aside, and we've got some reserves, equipment reserves. So.
Rent, yeah.
He means the enterprise pro.
Yeah, there's a couple other companies that do it too.
There are.
But go ahead. Yeah, and so yeah, when you need a new piece of equipment, instead of us purchasing it, we would see what they would rent us that piece of equipment for the year for.
So like
Because-
a lease purchase.
It's a
Yeah, it is, and it particularly we found it worked very well with police cars, very well, and it's just pet peeve of mine, and I saw this before. You go out and you buy used patrol cars. Well, there's a reason why they're used.
Yeah.
And Enterprise or whoever, they've studied it. They've got the data. They know.
So I know they were also doing it. The one that I looked at, they were doing it on large equipment,
Yes,
like the graders,
they do
the
in
dozers.
dump trucks.
Yeah,
But,
anything like that.
but it worked really great on police cars because they'll put the package, they'll put the whole package together. And what I liked when I did it was that they actually got out in the field and designed the stuff to meet your particular needs.
What I liked about the one that I was looking at was that if something went wrong with the dozer or whatever,
It's theirs,
they came and fixed it, or they brought
Yeah.
you a new dozer.
and they
And-
maintain,
Yeah.
and some of them maintain them.
Yeah.
So
I will say though, that's usually built in. I mean,
yeah,
the good thing about a lease is it forces your hand to trade it off when it still has value. I mean, if you really plan it out and have a plan, buying and selling can do the same thing, but most times cities wait till.
that's
But we might not always have you.
where do
there to
you
help
sk-
guide us
where
in
do
the
you
grid.
where do you skimp? You skimp on your equipment.
Right.
But where did you see? You saw a city?
Yeah, Rogers, Arkansas, been renting out on their big equipment for all the
Within-
road jobs and
Yeah,
stuff.
with Enterprise.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was with
Yeah.
Enterprise.
Okay,
But I know
It-
it was,
it's
I think it
just
was Sunbelt.
it's just another
Right.
option. But we got to get the list together because we in our meeting we had one kind of thrown and it was 2 or 3 years old.
Okay.
So
Hey, real quick, someone suggested today, and it's not really streets, but for mowing, AmeriCorps, they have a thing mowing for all the state parks, I guess, and I don't know how it works, but they do a lot of municipalities, so I don't know if that's something we could look at, but they do all of Crawford State Parks, and it's some kind of program they have set up where people can get college credits or whatever,
Mhm.
and it's a grant program where the municipalities don't pay or
Right.
pay very little. But I guess 2 or 3 people from Fort Scott actually used to mow for Crawford State Park through this AmeriCorps.
Okay.
So I think they do a little bit of everything. So.
That company that's in town cutting off for Evergy, they said I don't know if they reached out to you, but they reached out to me and said they'd be happy to take a look at and bid anything that we needed to see if it would be comparable. I've got a number for a guy. I'll get it to you after we get done. Along those lines of the mowing, do we want to reach out to the guys that bid on the mowing last year now and have them bid for the stuff for next year now so they can be planning ahead if we're planning on doing that again?
Probably wait until the first year at least,
Okay.
see where it goes.
The mowing? Well, we have to bid that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's wait until the first year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one, and talk today, I would like, we've done this before with trash route, wasn't it? And we did it somewhere else here before, but we need to bid out, I said, with like a 1 year, 3 year comparison and give us the option of whether bidding out, and mainly on anything like that. So what would they charge for a year, or what would they charge for 3 years of the service? You
Oh, I
understand?
see what you're saying.
Sometimes it can be.
Mm-hmm. Right. I just know a couple of the guys who had bid on it last year were asking if we could have them bid sooner so that they can plan their summers a little bit better.
I had a question, since we're talking about
Planning, then we've got some bigger projects. We've got Horton coming, right? Right?
Mhm.
Right.
And that's gonna be bid out when?
It should be, what did I say? In the spring. It'll be, yeah,
And
not
that's,
ideal.
yeah, and that's any other major projects we have plugged in? That's
The,
it.
CDBG sewer,
Oh, well, I'm just talking
not street.
streets. That's the only street project. Okay.
That's
And you will have Wall Street. I don't know what, I think I sent an email, but asking what fiscal year KDOT
That's
put Wall Street on.
24, isn't it?
We put it in for 24, but they don't always.
That's everything I've seen.
And we'll need to start writing the grant or getting on their books for that next cycle so that we can continue that project on. Yes, sir. So is everyone, you guys want to take a look at this list, and then when do we want to readdress it? Do we
Well,
want
I'd
to have
like
another
to-
meeting?
I mean, you said this was yourself and Kelly and Pete. Has the
Mhm.
street advisory board reviewed this and given their input on it?
No, they were looking simply at what brick streets needed to be repaired for right now.
Well, I would think it would,
I have the brick street.
yeah.
Mhm. And then,
So, I guess that's something to ask. They gave me their recommendation. As an advisory board, that's what they did, recommendation. So do you want me to get this typed up, nice and neat, and show you?
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Do you need to approve it?
I would say anytime an advisory board has recommendations, it should probably be in our next packet. The packet averages kind of is.
I'll type it up.
Recommendation.
I'll type it up, send it to you in the next meeting.
But I would like to ask also that the advisory board get a copy of this to provide their feedback as well.
When do they meet again?
Who meets tomorrow?
Parks.
Parks. is
So do you
tomorrow.
think that they could call like a special meeting, just to look this over and give us suggestions whether they like it, if they'd add some, take some off,
Yep.
and then maybe by,
That's next week then.
Next week.
yeah, so then by our next meeting, we can, and then have Lisa put it on the agenda for next meeting, you think?
That works for me.
Mhm.
If they meet the second Tuesday, or second Thursday, we'll meet the Tuesday following.
We'll meet the third Tuesday, so they should be able to provide their feedback on this by then. All right, we good? Time to go get a sandwich before the other meeting starts?
Yeah.
Thanks, Jerry.